Hello everyone, a very pleasant day to you. Federal government to end long-standing dichotomy set to empower polytechnics to award degrees. Minister of Power asks Energy Commission of Nigeria, Rural Electrification Agency to boost local production of power equipment. And NAFDAC targets WHO's highest regulatory rating with AI-driven reforms. A very good day to you and welcome to First Next News Port Harcourt. I am Becky Usoro. Now the news in details. Senator Adams Oshomole has praised President Bola Tinubu's new tax policy, describing it as consistent with the principles of progressive government. Speaking on a television program, the Edo North lawmaker said the President Tinubu's tax policy is progressive because it shifts the tax burden from the poor to the rich. The former Edo State governor emphasized that he fully supports the new tax policy, noting that no government can function without taxes. In another development, the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu, has challenged the Energy Commission of Nigeria and the Rural Electrification Agency to deepen collaboration aimed at boosting local production of electricity components, cutting imports and conserving foreign exchange. Adelabu said the proposed synergy between the two agencies would hinge on coordinated research, robust data gathering, and shared planning frameworks, stressing that these were critical to delivering President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reform agenda in the power. The minister stated this during a meeting with the management of the ECN in his office in Abuja. According to a statement issued on Wednesday by his media aide, Bolaji Tunji, he explained that the Nigerian power sector, which has undergone multiple reforms since privatization in 2013, has continued to face structural challenges, including weak infrastructure, poor data management, and limited local manufacturing capacity. In another development, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, has appointed Sani Musa Daura as a Senior Special Assistant on Protocol Matters. The appointment, which was announced in a statement by the Minister's Senior Special Assistant on Public Communications and Social Media, Larry Olayinka, described Daura as a seasoned civil servant with over 30 years' experience in the FCTA Protocol Department. Daura, who became Director of FCT Protocol in 2019, is expected to retire from the civil service on January 24, 2026. The statement noted that his appointment will take effect from the date of his retirement. Moving on, the federal government has announced plans to abolish the long-standing Higher National Diploma (HND) dichotomy by empowering polytechnics to award degrees in a major reform aimed at repositioning technical and vocational education as a driver of national development. The Minister of Education, Dr. Tunji Alausa, disclosed this in Abuja while addressing a high-level retreat of council chairmen, commissioners of education, rectors, registrars, and bursars. Describing the move as a landmark policy shift, the minister said it would end decades of discrimination against polytechnic graduates and elevate polytechnics into centers of excellence within Nigeria's higher education system. According to him, the reform would place polytechnic education on a stronger footing while preserving its core strength in hands-on, industry-focused training. The minister explained that with degree awarding status, polytechnics are expected to attract stronger industry partnerships, improve funding opportunities, and greater public confidence. Dr. Alausa assured stakeholders that the transition will be guided by clear standards, strong regulation, and quality assurance mechanisms to ensure global competitiveness. Moving on, the Federal High Court, Abuja, has fixed January 26 to rule on the final forfeiture of a London property linked to the late Jeremiah Useni, former Minister of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT). The decision followed the failure of any individual or representative of Useni's estate to appear within the 14-day statutory window to show cause why the property should not be forfeited to the federal government. The proceedings arose from an ex parte application filed in late 2025 by the Code of Conduct Bureau, which sought an interim forfeiture and preservation order over the disputed property, alleging it was acquired by proceeds of unlawful activity. The judge directed the CCB to advertise the order in the national newspaper within 14 days to invite any person or body with interest in the property to come forward and prove legitimate acquisition. Moving on, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control is targeting advancement to the World Health Organization Global Benchmarking Tool Maturity Level 4 for digitalization of its regulatory processes, deployment of artificial intelligence in drug approval and safety monitoring, and further strengthening of local manufacturing. The Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, disclosed this on Wednesday at a media party in Lagos, where she represented a detailed account of the agency's regulatory modernization journey from 2018 to date, titled Modernization and Foundation Laying of NAFDAC Regulatory Systems, Reflections on 2025. She explained that NAFDAC's modernization journey began in January 2018 with a deliberate effort to safeguard public health by aligning Nigeria's regulatory system with international standards and best practices. According to her, regulatory modernization is built on 5 strategic pillars: strong leadership and governance, institutionalization of best practices, safety and quality of regulated products, continuous monitoring along the supply chain, and efficient financial and performance management. Away from that story, the Nigerian Army has intensified efforts to modernize its inspection and compliance architecture with the introduction of technology-driven framework aimed at strengthening accountability, transparency, and efficiency across its operation. The initiative was unveiled at the opening of the Directorate of Inspections and Compliance, DI&C, Project Inspection Workshop 2026, held at the Army War College Nigeria, AWCN Asokoro, Abuja. The 4-day workshop is hosted by the Office of the Chief of Army Staff through the Directorate of Inspections and Compliance. In a statement, the Acting Director of Army Public Relations, Colonel Apollonia Aneli, said the initiative was designed to strengthen accountability, transparency, and efficiency in project implementation through the deployment of technology-enabled inspection processes. Declaring the workshop open, the Chief of Army Staff, COAS, Lieutenant General Wadiu Shaibu, represented by the Chief of Logistics Army, Major General Adekunle Adeyinka, described the program as both timely and critical to the ongoing transformation of the Nigerian Army. He noted that the increasing complex operational environment has rendered traditional manual inspection methods inadequate, thereby necessitating integrated and technology-driven inspection solutions. Moving on, the African Development Bank has removed Sagittarius Nigeria Limited and its affiliates from its sanction list. The bank had imposed penalties on several companies because of its investigation into procurement processes linked to the urban water supply and sanitation improvement project in Oyo and Taraba states in 2014 and 2016. The company noted that the issues relating to the infractions in the bid submissions were related to errors in 2 bidding forms, while the correct originating and supporting documents were attached to the bids, each running into over 600 pages. The company maintained throughout the process that the errors were inadvertent, not fraudulent, and did not confer any advantage, particularly as it did not win the bids. Sagittarius Nigeria Limited fully cooperated with the AFDB's Office of Integrity and Anti-Corruption during the investigation, providing all requested documentation and clarifications. We now move on to the foreign scene. The European Parliament has suspended the approval of a key U.S. trade deal agreed in July in protest against Donald Trump's demand to take over Greenland. The suspension was announced in Strasbourg, France, as the U.S. President addressed the World Economic Forum in Davos. The move followed renewed trade tensions between the U.S. and Europe sparked by President Trump's bid to acquire Greenland, which has rattled financial markets, reviving talk of trade war and the possibility of retaliation against the U.S. Hours later, Trump said on social media he had reached a framework deal on Greenland's future and would not carry out threats to put new tariffs on 8 NATO members. Trade tensions between the U.S. and Europe has eased since the two sides struck a deal at Trump's Thornbury Golf Course in Scotland in July. We now move on to sports. Algerian players Lucas Zidane and Rafik Belgali have been banned for 2 and 4 matches, respectively, for their part in ugly scenes following a quarter-final defeat to Nigeria at the African Cup of Nations. Algeria were denied the penalty with the game locked at 0-0 before they eventually lost 2-0 to Nigeria with second-half goals by Victor Osimhen and Ako Adams. After the final whistle, a scuffle broke out between both sets of players and staff. The FAF said the fines included charges of fans attempting to invade the pitch and displaying banknotes towards match officials. Super Eagles booked their place in the semi-finals after a commanding victory over Algeria at the Grand Stade in Marrakesh. That's all on the news this hour. I am Becky Usoro. Many thanks for watching. Bye for now.